Hello, I'm Jack Gregory, and this is my Week 7 discussion. I chose option 1, which is participants and historians today consider the Vietnam War a tragedy. Why and to what extent did U.S. political and military leaders misunderstand the situation in Vietnam? And what about this war generated such an intense opposition on the American home front? I want to start off by saying Vietnam was a war that is highly controversial among the population. Due to the fact that lots of Americans believe that the Vietnam War was very unneeded for us to get involved, because it was basically a civil war between North and South Vietnam. They had been separated prior, and a dictatorship was attempting to take over. And so what was happening was the North was attacking the South to attempt to gain the land and resources, and basically expand their reaches. These members were known as, the military assets or people that were fighting were known as Viet Cong. That stands for Vietnamese Communist Party. So these Viet Cong were fighting, attempting to take over the South. Southern Vietnam at this time did not have a very strong militia. They were mostly farmers and civilians and people who just didn't really fight. They did have a small military, I think. And so basically they kind of cried for help almost during this kind of civil split where they were fighting back and forth. And the U.S. basically joined into this war, sent troops over to fight. I feel like the military leaders misunderstood the situation in Vietnam because they were scared of the domino effect. This is something historians like to use when communism is brought up, to show basically what the domino effect is if one country or area falls to communism, the domino effect says that other areas will start to follow, and as those other areas start to follow, it will build on top of each other, and then there will be a giant communist party in Europe or just kind of wherever they are, just anywhere. And so they were really scared of this domino effect and sent people to go fight in Vietnam, which, yes, the communism was a scary part of this war, but the way that the U.S. approached this was very, I wouldn't say rash, because yes, it is war, and yes, there are people of the Communist Party attempting to take over portions of land, but I feel like the way that we did it was just altogether kind of wrong. I don't really have a good idea myself of how we could have done it differently, because obviously I know not all the information, but I have more access to information than they did at the time when they sent the troops over. But it is still considered a tragedy to this day, because it was something that the U.S. didn't fully need to be involved in, and even soldiers that were there during the war were wondering why they were there. And so this left lots of people kind of dumbfounded, and this is probably one of the most, if not the most, protested war in American history. So yeah, thank you.